The Bogosity Podcast, early and ad-free. Become a subscriber at Patreon, Subscribestar, or Discord. Use the links at donate.bogosity.tv.
Welcome to the Bogosity Podcast for the week of November 9, 2025, the podcast that never left the dance floor. This is your host, Shane Killian. Let's aberrate the news of the bogus. We'll begin with an update to a story we followed as it happened. In particular, a Delaware judge denying Elon Musk's pay package for Tesla that would have netted him $56 billion for basically meeting a number of next to impossible milestones, turning Tesla into a $1 trillion company. In February of 2024, Judge Kathleen McCormick, in a case brought by two people who bought less than 5 shares of Tesla stock, who nonetheless were allowed to represent all Tesla shareholders, ruled that somehow Musk had snowed those poor, dumb shareholders and they didn't know what they were getting into. She ruled instead that Musk's pay over the previous 8 years should be nothing whatsoever. McCormick was also the judge who ruled against Musk during his Twitter acquisition. The package had been approved by shareholders in 2018. In June of 2024, Tesla stockholders reapproved the pay package, but McCormick said that didn't count either for some reason. Because she's in charge of the company, not them. Who do they think they are, the owners or something? Something else that happened at that 2024 stockholder meeting, they voted to disincorporate in Delaware and reincorporate in Texas. And this week was the first Tesla stockholder meeting as a Texas company. One of the ballot measures for stockholders was a new compensation package for Elon Musk. The proposal said, quote, "Under Elon's leadership, Tesla created $735 billion of value with the 2018 CEO Performance Award, which received overwhelming support from our shareholders in 2018 and again in 2024. However, Elon has not been permitted to exercise the 2018 CEO Performance Award while it remains contested in the Delaware courts, and there's currently no go-forward compensation plan in place to incentivize him to continue delivering for Tesla well into the future. As such, the special committee has worked diligently over the past 7 months to devise the 2025 CEO Performance Award, and the full board, with Elon and Kimball recusing themselves, has approved this proposal for the 2025 annual meeting. They set out incredibly ambitious goals for the company, and if they're not met, Elon gets nothing. If he succeeds at achieving all of them, Tesla would have a market capitalization of $8.5 trillion. Other milestones include 20 million vehicles delivered, 1 million Optimus robots sold, 1 million robotaxis in operation, and 10 million subscriptions to full self-driving. If all of those are met, Elon will become the world's first trillionaire and own 25% of Tesla. So how did the shareholders vote? Hear it for yourselves.
Sixth and finally, on the 2025 CEO Performance Award to our founder and CEO Elon Musk, with over 75% voting in favor. Approved.
I swear, these are not your typical shareholder meetings. Any other company, it'd be a great place to go if you need a cure for insomnia. But with Tesla, not only is Elon himself basically a rock star, the place was set up like a cyberpunk nightclub, and several Optimus robots were around, dancing and waving. Of course, with that, cue the anti-Elon idiocy, mostly from the left from what I could find. The Green Party posted on X, Tesla have approved a $1 trillion pay package for Elon Musk. That's 20 billion times more than a nurse in the UK earns. Don't let anyone tell you immigrants or disabled people are the problem. It's the richest 1% hoarding all the wealth. Time to tax the super rich properly. Let's see. $1 trillion divided by 20 billion. That's $50! Nurses in the UK only make $50? Why am I always having to school environmentalist morons on basic math? Anyway, that $1 trillion could be something over like a decade, and even then he'd have to hold on to the stock for 5 years. So actually, that's 15 years to make the full trillion. So basically, by that math, UK nurses must be making less than $4 a year. Another idiot, People Who Work, who say they're, quote, providing accountability for Elon and the anti-worker Doge, posted, Elon Musk spent his year inflicting as much pain as possible on America's federal workers and breaking the essential services that working people rely on. And now he's being handed a $1 trillion paycheck on a silver platter. Disgusting. Okay, so it's not a paycheck, it's in Tesla stock, and it's not on a silver platter. He has to work hard to make a ton of milestones for the company. And how many jobs will that create? If you like the workers, shouldn't you love people who create their jobs? At any rate, inflicting pain on federal workers by exposing their grift and eliminating their wasteful jobs isn't in any way a bad thing. All right, let's hear what Bernie has to say. Quote, this is what oligarchy looks like. If you're Elon Musk, the richest man alive, Tesla gives you a $1 trillion pay package, and Trump gives you a huge tax break. If you're a poor kid on SNAP, Trump appeals a court decision that would have prevented you from going hungry. Obscene. Again, pretending this is some sort of paycheck. But Elon gets no base salary, cash bonuses, or anything else. He misses the milestones. He gets nothing. To get the full trillion, he has to quintuple the size of the company, as opposed to the government handouts Bernie's talking about. Or even Bernie's own salary and his pension, which means the taxpayers will be funding his luxurious lifestyle with his $4 million homes for life. Alright, you get the idea. I'm not gonna harp on it. And no, I didn't check Bluesky to see what they're saying over there. I have my limits. Sorry.
Presenting the greatest game this side of Yugoth. You are H.P. Lovecraft's cat, and your name is Nick. Right, we can't say that on a podcast. Well, anyway, that's the point. Your name is a joke to him. So now, you are out for revenge. Using the Necronomicon, you come to the present day to buy a gun to go vanquish him once and for all. But the Necronomicon is devious, and it summoned Lovecraft's monsters as well. Now, in a crumbling world, you must fight for the revenge you seek. Fight monsters, gain allies, buy guns and armor for yourself and your team. Defeat the bosses of each level. Then get your revenge against Lovecraft himself. Play Lovecraft's cat. The link is at cat.bogosity.tv. Yeah, we're doing cat.bogosity.tv, not that other one. What, you want me to get kicked off the internet or something?
In other news today, a man fell into a pool of water and came out unharmed. Doesn't sound much like news, does it? Well, the only reason it is news is that it happened at a nuclear power facility. A contractor at the Palisades Nuclear Plant in Michigan fell into the water of a reactor cavity. The man was wearing all of the required personal protective equipment, including a life vest. I say the man. Writing this is difficult, because nuclear facilities are extremely conservative about personal information getting into incident reports, so we don't know anything about the contractor's gender or pronouns. So pardon me if I stick to he/him just to make this story less awkward to read. Not trying to be ideological here, just make things easier, but with the disclaimer that we don't actually know the person's gender. Anyway, radiation personnel pulled the man from the water and proceeded with decontamination procedures. Holtec International Senior Manager Nick Culp said, quote, "The worker was promptly assisted from the water, evaluated, monitored, and decontaminated for removable contamination in accordance with established industry standards and safety procedures. Radiological assessments are ongoing and are expected to confirm exposure well below regulatory and administrative dose limits. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission was properly notified, and a review of human performance factors contributing to the incident is underway." Holtec has been working to start the plant back up and became the first decommissioned nuclear power plant to restart in the United States on August 27. But in order to start generating power again, they needed to take delivery of 68 fuel assemblies, which they did on October 21. It was during this refueling that the worker fell into the pool. He was taken for medical attention with minor injuries, but the real question is, how much radiation did he soak up? Is he going to be glowing green? The official count of the radiation he received is 300 counts per minute. Oh my God, 300 per minute? That's a lot, isn't it? It sounds like a lot. 300 counts per minute is 5 becquerels, or 1/740 millionths of a curie. Aren't units fun? It was basically nothing. He's not going to notice. In fact, he's already returned to work. Those 300 counts are probably from beta emitters from corrosion products, not high-energy gamma particles or fast neutrons or isotopes like cesium or iodine. He might also have ingested small amounts of tritium from the water, but there's never been a single documented case of humans being harmed by tritium. The 300 counts per minute comes from contamination that was easily washed off in a nuclear shower. That's basically a trace amount, and it wasn't on him for very long. In fact, even as conservative as the regulations are, contamination actions don't kick in until you get above 1,000 CPM. Nuclear regulations around the world use the bogus pseudoscience known as the linear no-threshold model. That assumes that any additional radiation exposure increases your risk of cancer. That includes every banana you eat and every family member you hug. The truth, of course, is that small amounts of radiation aren't going to harm you. Yes, any amount of radiation can damage the DNA in a cell, but your body can easily repair it. That's why they wait a week or two between radiation treatments, to give the patient's cells a chance to repair, which they will do. It's only when the radiation is above a certain threshold that the damage occurs too fast for your body to fix. So it's pseudoscience, but at least it errs on the side of being safe. So the worker will be fine. As for the reactor itself, so far it doesn't look as if this will delay the restart. The NRC will review the incident, but unless they see a safety red flag, they're unlikely to halt the restart. So if anything, let this be a testament to the safety of nuclear power. This is viewed by the industry as a major incident, and yet the worker is unharmed, and so is the reactor. That wouldn't be the case if he were installing solar panels and fell off the roof.
If you're on the Wi-Fi in a coffee shop or hotel, anyone on that network can get your traffic. Do you really trust all of those strangers? For that matter, do you really trust your ISP? A VPN can protect you from prying eyes, disguise your location, and even foil government censors. It's essential in this day and age, so go to vpn.bogosity.tv and you'll be taken to BoxPN. Starting at just $2.99 a month, you can get unlimited high-speed connections to VPN servers all over the world, and they don't log connections, so your privacy is assured. Traveling abroad, just VPN home, and don't worry about what those other governments are doing. Back at home, stop your ISP from traffic shaping and messing with the quality internet access you're paying good money for. You can connect from multiple machines at once, including your smartphone or tablet, and it supports all the secure standards, including OpenVPN and SSTP. Bypass censors and surveillance with your own secure VPN connection. Go to vpn.bogosity.tv.
A joint statement to the Office of the United States Trade Representative urged revisions to their upcoming agreement with Canada and Mexico to support right to repair. Various groups, including the EFF, the Recreate Coalition, and the Center for Democracy and Technology, are urging carve-outs in trade rules that might otherwise prevent right to repair laws from moving forward. Right to repair legislation has moved forward in several states such as California and New York, with bills pending in a dozen others. They say that this is important, quote, so that consumers, farmers, and small business owners have access to the tools, parts, and information necessary to repair their electronics-enabled equipment and devices. As such, there is an urgent need for the United States, Mexico, and Canada to revise the USMCA to modify provisions that could be used to undermine right to repair reforms, making headway at both the state and federal level in the United States. That includes a section on source code that could thwart right to repair requirements that manufacturers give access to diagnostic software and digital keys needed to fix equipment. Another section would cover schematics. And yet another would solidify the freedom-hating technological protection measures of the DMCA. Quote, the DMCA does not permit the Librarian of Congress to create exemptions for the creation and distribution of the tools, software, and other resources or services that are necessary for lawful circumvention, nor the import, distribution, or sale of such tools, services, and resources by third-party suppliers. Commonly referred to as trafficking, these activities that facilitate otherwise lawful digital lock circumvention are treated as a separate offense from the act of circumvention itself. The effect is a conflicting framework of rules where it may be legal to circumvent a digital lock in a certain product or device for the purposes of repair, but nevertheless unlawful to create or distribute the practical means of doing so. The USMCA further complicates this picture by restricting the United States legislative discretion to make much-needed changes to the DMCA anti-circumvention law framework to permit and incentivize commercial repairers and suppliers to carry on business without the fear of being held liable under that law. The bottom line is, you should own everything you purchase, and that ownership should give you every right to do whatever you want to it, including repairing and modifying it. The DMCA, and now the USMCA, works to obliterate that basic fundamental principle of capitalism, instead forcing people into a life where they can't make a move without the approval of some corporation somewhere. Quote, the DMCA must not stand in the way of widely supported bipartisan efforts to ensure that consumers, farmers, and small businesses can repair the products they own. Yet in its current form, several provisions in the agreement risk doing just that. The changes they propose, on the other hand, quote, would reaffirm the United States leadership in advancing competition and consumer choice while safeguarding the ability of Congress and state legislatures to enact laws that promote fair markets and empower people to fix the things they own. Here's hoping they can make a difference. I want to tell you about the eyeglasses I've been wearing for years. As people can see on my videos, I have a very strong prescription, which makes glasses more expensive, especially when I need computer glasses, reading glasses, prescription sunglasses, and most expensively, progressive lenses for general everyday wear. To save money while still getting quality glasses, I get them from Firmoo. In fact, I just got a pair of progressives with high-index aspherical lenses and a nice pair of frames my wife loves for just over $100. It would have been $500 to get them through my eye doctor. Not only do they look good, the glasses are durable. I've worn many pairs for several years without problems. All orders come with a 30-day return policy, a 3-month warranty, and one-on-one customer service. Go to Firmoo, that's FIRMOO.Bogosity.tv anytime you need quality glasses at a low price. Once again, that's Firmoo.Bogosity.tv. And now it's time to strangulate this week's biggest Bogon emitter. So we need to talk about Anna's Archive. It's a meta search engine for shadow libraries such as LibGen and Sci-Hub that allows users to search those archives. According to the site's blog, quote, "Since we started in 2022, we have liberated tens of millions of books, scientific articles, magazines, newspapers, and more. Those are now forever protected from destruction by natural disasters, wars, budget cuts, and other catastrophes, thanks to everyone who helps with torrenting." It was created in the days following the attack on Z Library by the U.S. government. It's basically what the Library of Alexandria attempted to do: make all of human learning accessible to all. And those ancient librarians didn't have to wait until 70 years after the author died to add a volume into their archive. Now, the vision of those ancient librarians lives on, and Anna's archive is a most welcome recent development towards that end. Of course, we've covered before how much the big content cartels hate libraries, but they've pretty much accepted defeat for traditional libraries, for the most part. We've seen what they've done to digital lending libraries, though, and ones that are freely available, like Anna's archive. We can't have that now, can we? So the site has been blocked in several countries, was sued in the U.S. after it scraped the WorldCat database, and is targeted for actively providing assistance to AI researchers who want to use its library for model training, which, as we've covered, is absolutely 100% fair use. Despite all of that, the main .org website and other mirrors like the .li and .se domains are still accessible. Reminds you of the Pirate Bay, doesn't it? So what they're left with now is targeting sites such as Google to get rid of all the infringing URLs so they don't show up in search results. According to Google's transparency report, over those 3 domains, rights holders asked them to remove 740 million URLs. Compare that to just 4.2 million for the Pirate Bay. Of course, Anna's archive has a lot more titles to take down to begin with than the Pirate Bay, but still, this is absolutely a targeted campaign against the archive. In fact, the total number of URLs flagged by rights holders is 15.1 billion, so 1 in 20 of them are links to Anna's archive. Of course, you can still find the site itself, as it's the top search result. And since Anna's archive is a search engine for the archives, one wonders what good they think they're doing. One of the most heinous crimes against human knowledge was the destruction of the library at Alexandria, an event that ushered in a 1,000-year-long dark age. What happens to all this human knowledge and creativity if it's all locked behind DRMs once the machines that verify the DRMs are no longer functioning? It's just gone forever? The Constitution only allows copyrights when they, quote, promote the progress of science and useful arts. That's the entire justification for copyright and the limiting factor on free speech that copyright actions represent. We're told that this is for all humanity and not in any way enriching the big publishing houses, record labels, and movie studios. But the way the system works isn't like that at all. Anna's archive most definitely promotes the progress of science and useful arts. All of the actions taken against them is just one more bit of proof of what an unethical, hypocritical fraud copyright is. So all of that makes all of these rights holders this week's biggest Bogon emitter.
Do you have children, or nieces or nephews? Are you homeschooling, or just want to counter some of the socialist indoctrination most children get in school? If so, go to Bogosity.tv/TuttleTwins, and you'll be taken to a website where you can get some great books for elementary-aged children. The Tuttle Twins books are books about liberty and free market economics that include children's versions of Bastiat's The Law, Leonard Read's I, Pencil, and Hayek's The Road to Serfdom, as well as books about the Federal Reserve and how regulations protect business cronies. They'll learn about the harm caused by eminent domain, or regulations passed in the name of safety, and fundamental concepts of liberty. And as you can see from the sample pages on the website, they're all easy to read and nicely illustrated. They're just $9.99 a piece, or get a special discount as well as free bonuses when you purchase all 5. You can even buy in bulk to donate to schools and local libraries. So get the Tuttle Twins books at bogosity.tv/Tuttle Twins.
And now let's adversifilificationalify this week's
Idiot Extraordinaire!
AI is good for so many things, but of course it has ways it can be abused. And all of the worst ways it can be abused seems to be when it's put in the hands of government. It isn't just about AI facial recognition. It's not even about the AI-based traffic cameras that are causing so much controversy. It's about when the government dumbos are so goddamn stupid they end up abusing innocent people, especially children. AI-based gun detection in schools was supposed to increase safety while reducing the number of security professionals. But just as putting cops and metal detectors in schools turned out to be a bad idea, this is even worse. One of the big players is Evolve, who has been way overstating its effectiveness, as was seen after New York City Mayor Eric Adams put its gun detection tech in subways. They false flagged all sorts of items while completely failing to detect guns and knives. They didn't fare any better in schools. The other big player is OmniAlert, which doesn't work any better. The Antioch High School shooter earlier this year walked right by their tech with a 9mm semi-auto. So now let's get to the latest story about them. Their system is used by Kenwood High School in Baltimore County, Maryland, where it flagged student Taki Allen while he was walking with friends after football practice. Quote, "They made me get on my knees, put my hands behind my back, and cuffed me. They searched me, and they figured out I had nothing. The first thing I was wondering was I about to die? Because they had a gun pointed at me." Yes, police pointing guns at students! Just like we've seen those horrible thugs doing when looking for, and often failing to find, drugs. And the offending item the AI flagged as a gun? An empty bag of Doritos. After the incident, Principal Kate Smith said, quote, "We understand how upsetting this was for the individual that was searched, as well as the other students who witnessed the incident. Please know that ensuring the safety of our students and school community is one of our highest priorities." Yeah, as useless as any other principal, I see. And what did the company have to say? Quote, "While the object was later determined not to be a firearm, the process functioned as intended, to prioritize safety and awareness through rapid human verification." Wait! Misreading an empty bag of chips as a gun is functioning as intended? What the hell does it look like when it's faulty? But the main piece of blame here goes on the cops, for a couple of details I need to add. The school security department saw the AI flag, reviewed it, confirmed there was no weapon, and canceled the alert. The school resource officer then called the local police, who then brought in 8 cop cars to point a gun at a kid for an alert that had been canceled. So in case you were just thinking, why not have a human verify it? Well, that's exactly what happened, and it still didn't make any difference to the cops. Just a bunch of armed thugs who were hoping to have their moment of glory in stopping a school shooter. So all of that makes the Baltimore City Police this week's
Idiot Extraordinaire!
Well, that wraps up this On a Medieval Spree edition of the Bogosity podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go to donate.bogosity.tv for several ways to support, and discord.bogosity.tv to join the discussion. Subscribe at the Discord, Patreon, or Subscribestar, and you can listen early and ad-free. Thank you for listening. Until next time, here's a quote from Benjamin Spock. "Most middle-class whites have no idea what it feels like to be subjected to police who are routinely suspicious, rude, belligerent, and brutal. The Bogosity podcast is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License.
Bogosity.